Welcome back to another episode of the Cape CopCast Chiefs Chat Edition. I'm one of your hosts, Lisa Greenberg.
And I'm Officer Mercedes Simons. Together we make up the Public Affairs Office, and we have Chief Sizemore.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Good to be back. My first week back.
I know. You had a nice vacation for the holiday. We had a busy week. I feel like everyone comes back from the 4th of July holiday, and it was like guns a-blazing. We were busy. We had like a swearing in. We had a bunch of different events this week. Junior Detective Day, which was really awesome.
And we actually did have guns a-blazing. That's one of the cases we're going to talk about today.
Have guns a-blazing. So
had guns. Thankfully, they weren't a-blazing.
I guess that's true.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. They could have been. I think that's the major point that we're going to end up hitting on. But we've been busy. Our city has been busy. Our officers have been busy going to calls for service. A lot has been going on.
And you kind of think of summer as like the slow months, but not necessarily here.
No, we really don't have that anymore. And you mentioned the uptick. This year, on 9/11 of all days, is actually my 30th year in police work. And you develop over 30 years a certain intuition or a gut feeling on things, but you don't have to be a 30-year cop to get a gut feeling when you live in this town. And that gut feeling is it feels busy. There's a lot of people. There's a lot going on. You watch the news. You watch your social media feed. There's stuff, right? But gut feeling is not enough. You've got to have some scientific backup. You got to have some, I call them data-informed decisions. And we run our numbers constantly. We run all kinds of numbers and data sets. And we got our second quarter activity for 2026. And we always like to look at it in a snapshot, but we also look at historical, short, medium, long term, see where we're trending, and just to know if our decisions are on track. Because you make a plan, you start executing the plan, you have to look at what you're doing to readjust and fine tune and tweak.
Right.
So in doing so, the second quarter, now this is just patrol. So we have 6 different bureaus in the building, but patrol is the most visible, and it's the one that gets the most customer interaction, we'll call it. You see the billboard driving up and down the street. When you call the police, that's who comes. So that's the one that we use for a lot of our metrics. So this particular quarter 2 of 2026 for patrol, when compared to quarter number 2 of 2025, is up 75%. I'll say that again, 75%. Now,
Crazy.
Is that, single digit numbers? You can have big percentage jumps. No, just in quarter 2, the patrol bureau, not our special operations, not traffic, not investigation, schools, any of that, just patrol, over 42,000 calls they went on in quarter 2. And that's a 75% jump from that time in the previous year. And then diving a little bit deeper into it, every single quarter is increasing. So our trend line is not a small number, but it's an actual long data set, multi-year. We go back 3 years for a good scientific stamp on your look and feel. And it has looked and felt anecdotally that we've been getting busy.
Yeah.
But when you look at that data trend line, it is not like this or like this. It is like that. 75% increase is noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
That made me kind of sit back.
Right. And it's not like we've had an increase like this in hiring. We hire what we have slots allotted for, and we have what we're given.
So you do just a basic common sense math equation, right? So we have been allotted X amount of officers. We've been talking about it on the pod, but through aggressive marketing and recruiting and hiring to get people in. And then once they're in, it's up to us and all of us to make sure that retention is high by having a good place to work. We are full at 330 plus spots.
Yep.
I believe we have nine vacancies.
Awesome.
But of the vacancies, we have more people in background than we have vacancies. So what that means is you're able to be very selective, get the right people here, and then have a pool of great candidates to be able to plug in. So for conversation's sake, we are full. So when you look at the other metric that we look for, and that you at home would look for is how long does it take for when I call the police for the police to get there on the serious things. And we'll talk about that guns ablazing serious thing. It's a good illustration of that in a few minutes, but you have to have a certain amount of staff to meet that key metric of getting there quickly, consistently. You can have an anomaly where you happen to be right next door to where something happened and your response time's a second. Or you could have something happen where there was a tremendous event that delayed a response. Though you throw those out and you look at a long data set of how long does it take to get there. So when you have the same number of people meeting that metric, and we made significant changes in the way we're laid out, the way we deploy, and we talked about that on a previous one, and we have experienced success.
Yeah.
But if nothing changes, you just keep maintaining it. But there is a change. There is no change in the amount of people. There is no change in what we set as a standard to get there. But the amount of calls that group is responsible to go to has increased in 1 year of 75% without any other dials being changed. Then the response time has no choice but to increase.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a basic police administration math equation. So if we know that that's happening, we need to turn up the dial and increase the amount of people available to respond. And the more people you have available to respond to an ever-increasing, skyrocketing number of calls for service, that's how you keep your response times within the goal that I, you, and everybody at home wants.
100%.
So it's a little shocking, a little staggering, can be a little scary. I get that. But what's reassuring to me is that all of the planning that we're doing, it's validating that.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done, and it's a responsible...
we've done responsible, data-driven modifications to what we've done, and I think that's got us to this point. That's why we've continued to be even more successful with pretty much the same amount of people. But I think we're just at that pain point that
there's a limit.
Something's got to happen to where we can continue providing the same level of service that we have been.
You can only squeeze so much out of the piece of fruit before there is nothing left, and you need bigger. So the responsibility that I have in conjunction with my staff is to see that, recognize it, shine a light on it, tell the public, because that's who we work with, tell the policymakers or our politicians, elected officials who are representative of them, and the city administration who works with us on our funding that we need more people and this is why.
Yeah.
So that's what I have done. It's not a comfortable conversation. Right? To go, hey, I need more. I know I understand the headwinds and the macro conversation about state. I'm not going to talk about that. I know that. I'm not an idiot when it comes to that. But I cannot let that knock us off target of what I'm paid to do, and what we're all paid to do, which is to deliver a service the best way we can, and we use all those tools to inform our decisions. I can't pull any punches when it comes to what we need. These aren't wants. These aren't, we want to be better than this guy or have that fancy thing. These are the needs that we have to maintain and hopefully deliver an improvement.
Yeah.
But at a minimum, maintain the service level that people expect.
Yeah.
And the first thing that people expect is when you call the police that an officer is going to get there within a set amount of time. And then other things go into play. Are they going to have the tools and equipment that they need to do the job? Are they going to have the training that they need to do to deliver on the service that they expect? So there's a lot more to it, but the takeaway for the public is you are correct in what you're feeling by it being busier and seeing more things that happen. And I know you wanted to talk about one such instance that happened earlier this week.
Yeah. What's crazy about this is this came out as a suspicious person call. Correct?
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about how our response times have improved. And a lot of times we specifically gauge our response times to handle the life and death priority calls. That's where we're really looking to make sure that we have good numbers. This call's kind of interesting because it wasn't one of those calls that we responded lights and sirens to. It came out as a suspicious vehicle, a suspicious person. We get those all the time. We respond. We don't run lights and sirens to get there necessarily, but this call ended up being, I think, really unsettling for a lot of people. So our officer goes, the neighbors say, hey, there was a car there this morning. We confirmed with the homeowners, they're not supposed to be there. They don't know who it is. And so then the car and the man returned later that evening. And our officer, they said, okay, he's back. We saw him go through the side yard. So our officer shows up. He's checking for unlocked doors to see where he's at. He goes into the lanai. The lanai was unlocked. The lanai screen doors were unlocked. He hears something inside the bathroom. And
like a pool bath?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like it's into the lanai, but it's, part of the home, but it's outside. The entrance to get into the bathroom is from the outside.
Got it.
Yeah. So our officer hears something in the bathroom. Obviously the wheels start turning. He calls the guy out, asks him to put up his hands, asks, what are you doing? And the guy's like, I'm waiting for the homeowners to come home. He detains him. While he's detaining him, looking over, he sees a rifle, 2 handguns, a camo jacket, all in this bathroom. Now to us, that's an immediate red flag. You are not supposed to be there. B, your intentions are not what they are supposed to be. So,
right. And diving into it further, they made contact with the homeowners again. Nobody is supposed to be there. And then come to find out, some people would ask, well, what's the relationship? Is this a domestic thing or is this no, right. This is not. This is a homeowner that is, I believe, preparing to leave the area. There had been some sales on Marketplace. So there's people there at the house. This individual lives close and either saw what was going on, might have scoped it out. But this is absolutely I wouldn't call it random, but a non-known entity. Not familial, not anything that would be, right. Oh, that makes more sense, and you can kind of let your guard down a little bit. This is one where your guard is up through the entirety of it. And I've seen a few of these types of calls throughout my career where the see something, say something, that neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
That saw
hero.
Thought it was weird in the beginning and during the day when the scope out was happening. Called the homeowner, got confirmation. That's pivotal because when they come back later, they already have that knowledge from the home. No, nobody is supposed to be there. And then they took the extra step to call us. Now, how does that tie into the beginning part of our conversation? Having enough people doing the things that you would expect us to do to be able to get there quickly, and then know what we're doing. This looks like it could be a break-in, right? A suspicious person. We show up. We already have knowledge from the neighbor. I spoke to the homeowner. Nobody is supposed to be here. Heightened alert. Let's check and make sure somebody didn't break into the house. We might have a break-in right now. Mm-hmm. And then come to find out the guy is sitting in wait. We got a heat index of 100 degrees. The guy's got a big, heavy jacket. I believe there were some zip ties available. We got
3 different guns.
And this wasn't a Tractor Supply AR-15 that you buy over the counter. This thing was pretty heavily modified and ready to rock. And
optics, lights.
And a spontaneous utterance is what it's called of, what are you doing here? I'm waiting for them to come home. That's a big red flag. So it's an illustration to further highlight the fact that things are happening here. I don't say that for hyperbole. I'm not a big theatrics guy. I think I've demonstrated that over the time that we've been doing the podcast. But when something is serious, I can't hide it either. That's a very serious call for service, and it's not an anomaly. And we've had shooting at the McDonald's a few weeks ago. There was an arrest made in that. We've had very high-profile violent crimes.
One thing I just wanted to point out is with the help of that neighbor, we were able to stop something potentially catastrophic.
Yes.
And even the officer, because, we see these things happen, we go through the body cam, and even the officer said once, he got the guy in the car and then the other officers started communicating, he said, I could have died tonight. Because, he walks up, that person could have
Could have been sitting
used one of the
for
3 guns right there, thinking he was the homeowner, if that was his intention, or just because he's, oh shoot, I'm about to get caught. So
it wasn't just a random burglary. If you're gonna just burglarize someplace, you just go and you steal stuff, you leave.
Right.
This was not that.
He wasn't wait.
Right. He wasn't taking something, and I think that's probably what's really unnerving to a lot of people is it could happen to anybody because it's not a known party. It's something that you could be targeted for this and it could happen to you. And you want the appropriate police services and appropriate police response to that kind of call. It's really important.
100%. When we talk about I do this with the new guys that we hire and swear in, and we did one yesterday. Their first day of pre-deployment training, I talk about vision, mission, value of the police department. And the mission statement of the police department is partnering with the community to ensure the highest level of safety for all. It's not a platitude. It's a real operational concept. And that call is, in effect, what that mission statement is. Partnering with the community, setting the groundwork and the attitude and the tone beforehand that if I see something bad, I can trust and I know that I can call the police department. And then they did. And right in that moment, a partnership was formed. When the officers arrived on scene, made contact with the witness who reported it, that is a partnership with the community in action. And then doing everything that you've been taught, trained, and equipped and expected to do in fulfilling ensuring the highest level of safety for all. Because like you said, this wasn't a break-in to take a TV and go. This was somebody laying in wait to do something very, very bad or even worse.
Absolutely.
It was a good ending. But it leads me also into the fact that although we are one of the safest, we are not immune.
No.
And we've had a lot of headline grabbing. We've had homicides, jewelry store owners tied up and robbed, calls like this. We have our share, right? When I tell people in community speeches, we are the 7th biggest city in the 3rd biggest state. So if it's out there in the world, it is in here, right? So we have it. So I'll put that as a given. So if we're doing geometry, there's a given and a proof. Or if we're going to have a debate or an argument or a conversation, there is an irrefutable fact, right? We have to agree on it. And the irrefutable fact is things happen here.
Yep.
Right? Crime, violent crime, does in fact happen here. And the percentage is low. The opportunity for a random person to be victimized is low, is not zero, right? So it is there, and we've got the documented proof. So I am charged with ensuring the safety of the community. That's what the police chief's job is, and I have a talented, wonderful team that helps me do that. Actually does it for me pretty much. But I'm ultimately accountable for that. So there are lawful, legal, and very effective tools to do that job. First and foremost, human beings, neighbors, community members, police officers, carbon-based people that do the job. That's number one. Training to make sure that those people know what they're doing. And then tools and technology that all plug in to get the job done. So all of those ingredients help to attack the fight. And the fight is that line that I illustrated. There are things happening. And I am accountable to make sure that we fight against it because we don't want the city to turn. I hear that all the time. We don't want this to turn. We don't want it to turn. I know what you mean. We want it. We like the way our lifestyle is. We don't want it to turn into big city problems, even though we are encroaching upon big city size and big city issues. So if I'm being held accountable to that fight, I need all the tools to be able to fight. And one such thing that is kind of bubbling up on social media, and I don't like to really acknowledge some of that stuff, but when you have conspiracy theory or tinfoily things that kind of bust through the membrane into the real conversation, I think it's time to address it. One of those is cameras. And in particular, there's a brand called Flock. And people, most people get it, but there is a group that either they don't get it or they just ideologically are opposed to it. But like any tool that we have, if you use the tool the right way, that's what you're supposed to do. If you have a misuse or an abuse of the tool, you do not abandon the tool. Police cars. We use police cars as a tool for the job. If you drive improperly, speed, run red lights, are a bad driver, and you cause a wreck and hurt somebody, or God forbid, kill somebody, that is a misuse of the tool.
Right.
You don't eliminate the tool. There have been improper uses of a taser, improper, unlawful uses of deadly force with a firearm. It is a misuse of the tool, not the tool. Going along those same lines, technology. We have had the ability to run your driver's license, look at your picture. We've had the ability to look at your criminal history for decades. There are safeguards in place, and there are real punitive damages for abuse. Are there instances where people abuse it? Somebody looked up their ex-girlfriend. Yes, that has happened throughout the country. Here in the state of Florida, you are mandated to hammer hard on people who do that. You don't eliminate the tool. Cameras and flock safety cameras that are in the public street are no different. It is a tool that is very useful. Is that tool in and of itself a crime solver? No, it is but one piece of a puzzle. If the information that is gathered or garnered from that is abused, those individuals who abuse it will be dealt with like any other tool that is misused. But I'll give you an example of how they work and how they are not the magic bullet that people think they are, but they are pivotal. So we had a homicide here in the city. Won't get into I don't want to get lost on that. But somebody was killed, and some people that were on the scene or in the vicinity saw a vehicle leave. They got an idea what the vehicle looks like. They don't know make and model exactly, but it was this blue sedan. So you start looking at traffic cameras, business surveillance cameras, flock cameras, anything that's going to pick up something that was described quickly. We pick up, it could be that make and model. Then you start using license plate readers. That make and model in that area, did any of them hit and get the license plate? We got one. Run it. Comes back to a rental car company. Call the rental car company. Who rented it? You go talk to the person who rented it. In each one of these stops, you don't stop everything and go arrest. Right. It's a piece, right? So you find out who rented it. You go to the person who signed the rental agreement. Were you driving this car? Was not. Somebody else was driving the car, and I can tell you who. That's where you start. Even that is not enough to go make an arrest or violate civil liberties. But it certainly is a starting point.
Definitely.
That is how that technology works. If people do it, if they skip steps or use it to circumvent the legitimate organic investigative process, that is bordering on misuse, but certainly not good detective work.
Right.
We do good detective work with that tool. The other thing I'll get into with that is the data that we have. We don't sell the data.
Right.
Flock doesn't sell the data. It's our data. It's voluminous. We don't have the staff. We don't have the interest to go looking for you. We just don't.
Right.
But if your vehicle description, your physical description, your tag number is affiliated with a violent crime, you certainly become more interesting for us to look at and use as a piece of evidence to work in the whole holistic part. So I want to go back to this fight that I'm charged with. I want you to fight the evil that's trying to flip the city. And there's a lot riding on it. And we have something that's legal, ethical, effective. We trust you to guide and make sure that there's no misuse. But we're going to take that away. So we want you to fight the fight of your life. And we have something that will help fight and solve and deliver for victims and overall safety, but we want to put one hand behind your back and fight the same fight. It's asinine to me that that's a discussion. I understand the Fourth Amendment. Believe it or not, I've actually studied the Constitution, part of my job. Anything in your private possession, your phone, your computer, your home, anything like that is private. You need a judge to give you a search warrant with a lot of probable cause and facts and circumstances to allow you to get into that.
Right.
We don't target that. This is in the public sphere. The Supreme Court is very clear on the Fourth Amendment and private things. They're equally clear on public space. There is not an expectation of privacy in the public. And I'm telling you, we don't have the interest or the time to go look for you.
Right.
If your behavior or alleged behavior backed up by other facts leads us to believe that you may be involved or may have some knowledge of that, you certainly now become more interesting to us, and we can go find you. Based on that alone, that's not enough to take any action other than we need to have a conversation. That's what that's for. That's what I'm entrusted to do. That's what my staff is entrusted to do. But the idea that you would take something that is legal, ethical, and really, if you want to talk to some of the victims that have found justice by these investigations, that was one ingredient in the entirety of it, I think they would be a pretty big advocate that I want you to have all of the tools. It's a given that we want you to do it responsibly and ethically and legally and not abuse it or misuse it. Assuming that that's the case, we want you to have all of the tools available to win the fight. And, we're fighting for all of society, but when it's you and it's your loved one and you want answers and you want justice and you want somebody accountable for it, I want you to do everything legally available to do that.
Definitely.
And that's what we're doing. So I find it a little, I don't know, it's troubling because I think there's so many misnomers out there and so many people aren't accurate. There's sources that they're getting it from. They're well-intended and they're fighting their good fight, but they're not getting all the information. You pick a topic. There's a lot of topics like that. I don't know enough about data centers to go nuts talking about data centers, but some people are very informed on it and they are passionate going after it. Other people have about as much information on it as I do, but they're going full speed into that sphere. I know enough that that's not my lane. I'm not going there. We have a lot of people who are really going hard and fast outside their lane, not really knowing what the facts and circumstances are with those tools. So I thought it was important to kind of maybe refocus the conversation on that we are fighting the fight to keep this community the way you want this community kept. And other communities are doing that too. But I can only focus on us, and we're doing it ethically, legally, and responsibly. And I would never advocate or concede to give up a piece of equipment or a tool that's going to help deliver that mission.
Definitely. And it's, to me, it just speaks to that people don't know the whole story or they wouldn't be advocating for the same thing.
Right.
So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's the commitment I have, is that any tool we have, firearms, vehicles, the system is called DAVID, the driver's license database. I've been holding people accountable, and people, when I was coming up, held me accountable. We hold people accountable to the appropriate use of tools. There's a lot of stuff we have, a lot of abilities that we have, and with that power comes responsibility. You've heard that all the time. Well, the responsibility is to make sure that power is checked and we're not abusing and misusing. And if there are instances of that happening, my commitment is that there will be heavy consequences on that.
Yeah. And I know people are scared of technology, but it's one of those things. We've been doing our job and we've been doing it pretty well. And a lot of what's been helping us do our job so well and solve different investigations so quickly is a lot of use of that technology. It's been incredibly helpful, and that's part of keeping our community safe. So
it's been around for many, many years. It's not new.
We have to keep advancing. I
Definitely.
think we have to keep, improving not only our staffing, our technology is just to keep going. We have no choice. We've seen our call volume increase almost a double, a little bit short, but we're almost doubling our calls. We're not doubling the amount of police officers. So we need a bridge of technology and officers, and hopefully they complement each other and, alleviate different things. But we're not going anywhere, and we have no choice but to evolve from where we're at.
Right. And that's any industry, anywhere. All the way to elementary school is using some component of AI to
I know, it's crazy.
Not only do their work, I'm not talking about that, but assist and help.
Yeah.
If you don't embrace technology, you're left behind with any. And we've had these for many, many years. And it's an exhausting part of my job. It's my job. I'm not complaining about it. But one of the things that wears me out is that there's so much technology and so many new advents and so many things that are expected of the police department. If you watch a television show, and you see some of the things that happen. Some of that's Hollywood, but there's a lot of reality to some of that stuff. And there is a well-founded, legitimate, I'm with them, expectation that, the police department's got it. If something happens, they're going to do it. Well, it doesn't just show up on Christmas morning under the tree here in the lobby. We got to go fight for that, advocate, show the need, find the funding, show the results, and we've done that. And that is our commitment for the overwhelming majority of people who are like, yes, that's what we want from the police department. I want to call 911. I want you to get there quick. I want you to know what the heck you're doing when you get there. And if you need to find the people, I need you to find the people. That's what they expect us to do, and that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Definitely.
I think well said. That pretty much, I think that covers everything that we wanted to hit today.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
It's only been 32 minutes, so I think we're good. That's awesome. And I think it's really important information, and I'm glad we were able to get it out there. So thank you so much for joining us today, Chief.
Yeah. Stay safe, everybody.
We'll catch you next time.
Have a good weekend. Thank you for listening to the Cape CopCast, where we dive into the heart of the Cape Coral Police Department safety initiatives, community relations, and the insightful stories of different officers that make up our department.
Please like and share our podcast. If you have feedback, you can email capepdpao@capecoral.gov. And remember to follow us on social media. Our handle is @CapePD on all major platforms. Stay safe, stay Cape.